Hello, friends. I am so thankful that you've joined us. I am Liz Oakes, the Minister of Pastoral Care here at First United Methodist Church, and I want to welcome you to our beautiful sanctuary. If you are tuning in for the very first time, welcome to you. Before we begin, I wanted to share that Pastor Ani had a bit of a health scare this weekend and had to go to the emergency room. She was tested, and the doctors assured her she does not have the coronavirus, but is recovering from a gastrointestinal virus. The good news is the baby is fine, and Pastor Ani is on the mend. She hopes to be back with us next Sunday. Let's keep her in our prayers as we prepare our hearts for worship. Our call to worship today comes from Psalm 34, 1 through 5. And it begins by saying, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise will continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord. Let the humble hear it and be glad." And now, for your hearing enjoyment, I'm going to sing the rest of it, since this is a psalm that I sing around the house. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and delivered me from all my fears.
I am so thankful to come before you this day to offer a time of praise to God for ministry that happens even in time of pandemic. During these unprecedented times, we continue to give thanks for our church community. Although our building is still closed, our ministry and hearts have been wide open. Ministry at First United Methodist Church is as vibrant as ever. There are so many ministries alive and well. However, today I want to lift up one specific ministry. Today's ministry spotlight is art workshops have continued. This summer, we are offering 3 workshops for children, youth, and families. These artistic workshops offer a safe, non-judgmental environment where authentic expression and new ways in Christ are encouraged through art. The second, Camp Toyon. I want to lead us in a moment of praise for the California-Nevada Camping Ministries. The decision to cancel on-site camps was difficult, but camp continues in Camp in a Box. 5 of our children and 1 LIT will experience this amazing virtual week, July 6th through the 10th. And finally, Vacation Bible Camp, Training Camp, Live Like a Champ. Registration is happening now for an epic week of virtual fun. Each camper will receive their own playbook, t-shirt, crafts, and daily access codes to worship, Bible stories, and even wrap-up meetings with myself and our VBC team. Together, we will learn what it means to love, serve, talk, and walk in a godly manner. We will partner with Adam Hamilton's Church of the Resurrection Children's Ministries. We give thanks for the way God continues to work through us to touch hearts and transform lives. Today's scripture is found in Romans chapter 5, verses 1 through 4. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand. And we boast in the hope of the glory of God. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us.
Many of our congregants will fondly remember that occasionally at First United Methodist Church, we would have sacred sharing Sundays, where we hear directly from our congregants instead of a pastoral sermon. During these Sundays, our friends share about different aspects of their faith. Hearing their stories reminds us that God is alive and active in the lives around us. It also reminds us dialogue about the sacred is an important feature of our community life together. Today we will be starting a two-part sacred sharing series titled Keeping It Real, Real Life, Real People, Real Talk. Today we will be speaking about congregational conversations about COVID. Next Sunday's theme, congregational conversations about racial equity. Today I will interview Bob and Jan Harper, Kevin Lepla, and Deborah Buckles about their experience of this pandemic and the impact of their faith. So for those of you who may not know, this is Jan and Bob Harper, who are congregants who are in charge of congregational care throughout the year. So Ani and I thought that this would be a good couple to hear from in terms of how the pandemic has affected their service. First question would be, what has this experience been like for you as congregational caregivers?
I think that what's been so interesting in being sheltered in place is that it limits our activities on what we can do, but at the same time, it's provided opportunity. And by that, I mean that we've had an opportunity to know our congregants better. Because when we're doing it when the church is open and we're busy with everything else, we're going about and doing it more in a structured way. Like it's the meeting week for congregational care, and then we talk about who we've gone to visit and so forth. But we're not doing it that way. But we have the opportunity through Facebook and telephone calls and cards to know more about each person. We're getting to know their personalities, especially those people that are on Facebook, because they put on pictures of flowers or their gardens that they're interested, or the birds, the wonderful birds, and the poetry, and sites that they like to go to that are soothing and comforting. So I think that it's given me an opportunity to know people in the congregation better, and I think that that's a plus.
What about this time? How has your faith impacted your experience and response to COVID during this stay-at-home time?
I know that probably a lot of people may know that I would do in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. But I'd like to do chapter 11, and I'd like to go down to about halfway through verse 13. And it talks about the people who were still living by faith when they died. that they did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance. And they admitted that they were aliens and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own, and that they have been thinking of the country that they left. They would have no opportunity to return. I have to say that having faith during this epidemic and with staying home, I think I personally have to say that I've really had no problems with being home. I haven't been sick. Jan hasn't been sick. There are so many people that have been sick, so many people that have lost their lives, so many people that don't believe that this epidemic is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, along with those things, my faith is that it is going to pass. My faith is that Jesus is here with us. If we'll call upon his name, if we'll talk to him, he will carry us through. Even if we get sick, he is still there. Even if we die, he is still there, and he will be there when we go through to the other side. My faith says it will pass. My faith says believe, trust in him, that things will be fine, one way or the other. It is his world, and he will determine what is to be done. And all that we can do is to abide in it.
Mm.
My faith is that it's in his hands.
A good thing to hold on to, what the truth is.
Well, it's been interesting when this started. I can remember going back to the beginning with the transplant. And I was blessed at the time when I had that at UCSF, and it was a young accident victim
Mm.
from Iowa. And at the time, it was, if not the best, one of the best matching that UCSF had for a kidney transplant. And it started working even as they were sewing it together. I mean, I just have not had an issue since 2008. Everything was perfect. But I can remember my nephrologist here, Dr. Joseph Skokin, who's passed away. But he was saying, yeah, that the kidney will outlive me. What I need to be careful of the rest of my life, and some I can control, some I can't, are the viruses that we're fighting off daily because of my immune system. And boy, did that came back to me. It was always in the back of my mind, but it really came back to me as if that discussion was yesterday when this pandemic really started and hit. I'm thinking, oh, so this is the way. I had already had the West Nile,
Right.
really to the 10th degree, the full swelling in the brain and everything. So and that was from a silly mosquito. Well, here's a really very serious, something the world had never seen before. So I'm just sitting back, waiting for something to happen. And with me, within 5 days or something, I could be gone. So it's there's a level of anxiety, I guess, and I guess that's part of how it wears on me over time.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I've learned, and I've been sort of blessed with it. I mentioned about it. Somehow it's difficult to really trust and put everything in God's hand.
Mm-hmm.
But what's sort of interesting is not many people, I'm trying to think out of words, not many people have had this opportunity to really have to trust and put everything in God's hand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's making sense, if this comes out right.
I understand.
But I'm having that now because it truly is. I can do what I can, but seriously, I turn to God, and it reminded me, but I do have it. I have we all have favorite verses. I have different ones over time, but there's one when this is back in 2002 when I was moving out here. I had been here for 2 or 3 months with the company. I went back to get the kids and driving back from Ohio to here with the kids and thinking, oh my gosh, this is a heck of a decision. I've already done it. I have the job. I've been working. And we were in Albuquerque at the time, taking the southern route. And the hotel I was opening, reading the Bible. And for some reason, this verse came out. It was in Isaiah in 41, chapter 41, verses 10 through 13. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I printed it when I got back to Modesto. I always had it in my office all this time and would read every day. And got to the point, when you read it every day, you're just going through the motions. I mean, there's some days I would really think about it, but it's the one, I'm sure people know right away. It says, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. And moving on down to 13, for I hold you by your right hand. I, the Lord your God. And I say to you, don't be afraid. I am here to help you. Well, that meant a lot as me and my 3 kids are driving cross country to this Modesto, California. I'm thinking, what am I putting my kids through? And, and this really helped me so much. And so I was reading it the one day, and boy, it struck me like it did back in late October in 2002. It just spoke to me. So it's funny how certain things, I was getting sort of weak, quite honestly, with my the strength and with my trust in God, if I dare say it like that. But boy, this has really hit me, and I read it each day again, like I did back in 2002, and I have confidence again.
What has this experience been like for you as an essential worker in your field?
It has just been really intense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever worked, logged as many hours and worked as many days in a row. And I grab my computer the first thing when I wake up in the morning and check emails that are coming in. And it has just been really, intense. We serve anywhere from 3,400 to 3,600 people a month that rely on us to provide them with their mental health treatment and their substance use treatment. And we have 460 staff that are dealing with everything that everyone else is dealing with, and their fears and their childcare issues, and trying to do school and trying to navigate and follow what the guidance is and staying home. And yet we still have to figure out a way to come to work and do it safely. And it has been, just pretty intense. I can say most county management has been working this intensely. For the last few weeks, it has calmed down, but now we're ramping back up again and trying to, manage what's next. I also have to say that I've never been more proud to be a county worker. It is impressive how, everyone has come together. Certainly at Behavioral Health, the leadership team has never worked as closely together. Because we all have our individual management, that of our area, but everything's connected, and we've known that too, but everything is really connected, and we really have to work very closely together. My faith has been very important. As much as in my dark moments, I kind of question what's going on and how can this be happening, and what are we supposed to learn from this? And, just those dark kind of moments, I do kind of ground myself. I follow a theologian, a Reverend Nadia, and she put out a prayer and a devotional. And one of the prayer, what she said was, we've never done this before, and we're scared. And that that really kind of resonated with me. And she also attached that a virtual choir of it as well with my soul. And it was just beautiful. And it just, I don't know, it just reminded me that, as much as we don't know what's coming next, we do know how to, ground ourselves in our faith. And as long as I can, it is well with my soul. I don't know, it just kind of grounds me. And I still have my moments. I still have my moments where I'm doing way too much and trying to figure out way too much, and I need to step back and take a breath. Virtual church, we have a family tradition. The Austin comes over, and Ben, and we have our family breakfast together on Sunday, and then we sit down at 10 o'clock and watch church together. So even though we're not at church, which I do miss, we have found ways to, take care of ourselves in that way.
So I think about the Israelites in the desert following the pillar. They don't know anything really except follow the pillar.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I think it'd be easier if we had at least had a pillar, but we have the Spirit, so that's our pillar. So
We can do hard things.
Yes.
I know we can do hard things. I mean, I look at people in our church that have been through hard things, and I look at, in history, certainly we can do hard things. We can do this. Sometimes we just need to, remind ourselves that, yes, we can.
What is one thing that has brought you joy?
When we read the questions, we knew this one had to come to me because I'm such an optimistic person. I really am. And I know that I'm easily entertained, and my family would tell you that as well. Every day we go on a walk early in the morning, and I find such joy everywhere, whether it's the flowers, whether it's just the day, how beautiful that it is outside. Seeing our neighbors that are also walking in the early morning. Oh, and I forgot, I have to remind myself that we also have to always pet the dogs and visit with the dogs too. So that brings me great joy. But there's another joy that I get from all of this. And I think that it comes from a sacred place. And that is about our church as a family. Because one thing in our quietness and sheltering in home that I've been able to observe is that as we are as a family, we're all in this together. We're all brokenhearted about Black Lives Matter. We're all brokenhearted about the social injustices that are all around us. And it gives me joy to know that I'm not alone in that. We're all together as a family. And being in congregational care, we've all become congregational care as we've lived through this and reached out to each other. So I think that is pure joy.
And I don't tell Jan this, but it's been joyful. It has been a real experience just doing the walks in the morning when we don't have to worry about being someplace.
Did you notice that he had to sneak in on my last question there too?
Well, we want to end with both of your joyful voices.
Father's Day. Some people that are listening might know that I have one son we haven't heard from for a while. Has had some personal issues and problems, and we're not really sure where. But I got a call from him on Father's Day. Sorry. And then also I mentioned about Becky and her situation, suddenly losing her husband. Of course, then her girls lost their father. And, I get a message from each of them on Father's Day, which, it's got to be a day that, challenging for them. They'd rather maybe forget Father's Day and quickly move on to Monday. But the idea that they take their time to communicate with me and say Happy Father's Day and happy that, I'm in their lives and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow you forget about the pandemic, at least for a few minutes or hours, whatever. So
Sure. Yeah.
anyway, those are a couple things that stick right out, brought joy, even though I'm getting a little, something. Anyway.
Joy doesn't mean no tears. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Kevin. This has
No,
been a real good talk.
thank you.
I appreciate your authenticity and just being
Well,
who
I
you
hope so. You bet.
I wonder if you might share with us the story about the face masks that you.
Yes. Oh, that was one of my questions, or that you guys gave me to think about, is what joy came out of that, and that's immediately, what came to mind. That certainly is a joy, and it came at such a, great moment for me. But yeah, it was, towards the beginning, and we were struggling to find personal protective equipment for behavioral health. I mean, health providers who were providing treatment to individuals with COVID couldn't get it. So we were like a few rungs down on the ladder for us to get it. And, just trying to, figure out how we're going to do this. And, face masks, I think I looked at something that India was doing and making face masks. And I was just like, oh, we just need face masks. And so, yeah, I called up Claudia, and one phone call, Claudia Williams called her up and said, are you guys making face masks? And by the next day, she had 7 sewers. Because she said, how many do you need? I said, I'll take 200 tomorrow. And she said, oh, well, the next day she had 7 sewers sewing face masks for us.
Wow.
And it was just, it was incredible. I had Richard dropping them off and Claudia dropping them off. And I think in 4 days they had all 200 made. And as soon as they brought some in, I would take them into my staff, and that, my staff were overjoyed that, they could get them. And it was just such a really, and then the other thing that was really nice about it is Claudia said, we used what we had, and we had it all. So it was just kind of, because even supplies for face masks were hard to find sometimes, but with all the sewers, they had everything that they needed, from pipe cleaners to elastic to flannel to the material, and they made the masks. And
Wow.
I know my staff, I still see some of them, because some of them are pretty unique. I still have one that I wear, and it came at a time that was just so important for us to, to get back out, and it just made staff feel safe. And I think it just made them feel connected too, with a whole group of women out there that were sewing just for them. So it just came at such a nice. I was never more proud to say, oh, this is just really nice. This is what my church does.
Mm-hmm.
It was sweet, very, very sweet.
We are so thankful for our friends and their sharing. It is nice to hear from them and feel connected to our church family. I really enjoyed seeing their smiling faces and spending time with them. One theme I noticed running through our conversations was we sometimes go into the dark and into the shadows and feel sad, frightened, alone, or just weary. And yet, we come out because the Spirit of God is there with us, waiting for us. We need to feel what we feel and then open our eyes to see where the Christ is with us right now. It reminds me of the Hebrews in the wilderness that were following a great pillar of light, that we always have of great light to follow no matter what's going on in our lives. A good reminder that we can ask others for support and know that they're going through the same things that we are. I pray this brings you hope and inspiration in your own journey as you experience and pray through this time of pandemic. Amen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy raised unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy raised unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbears to shine. But God, who called me here below, will be forever mine. You are forever mine.
Although we are not together to pass the offering plate, let us not pass up an opportunity to offer our prayers, presents, gifts, and service to God this week. Here are 3 ways you can give. As Joni highlighted, there are so many ways we continue to be in meaningful ministry together. But this vital work cannot be done without your support and investment. Let's pray as we discern how we are being called to give ourselves back to God. We come together to worship, longing for tenderness, because this world can be hard. This week, we promise to take steps to care for those around us. We come longing for light, because our lives are crowded with shadows. This week we promise to add a little light to someone's life. And we come desperately needing direction. Fill us this morning with your peace and spirit as our peace and our path unfolds. This week we promise to be peacemakers and healers in the name of Christ. We make these prayerful promises as we pray the prayer Jesus taught us, praying together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And now go forth this day to share your own story of God's faithfulness and amazing grace. Amen.